Hi, my name is Jaap Murren. I'm a memory psychologist, and today we're going to talk about the shortness of short-term memory. And as we shall see, it is very, very short, much shorter than many people would imagine. For example, I started this video saying my name, but do you still remember it? If you're a first timer here, you probably won't, because this is as short a time that is necessary to forget essential facts, even very short, simple facts like a name. And I have other videos, and I tell you in those what you can do about that, because you encounter a lot of situations in daily life where you run into problems with that. When you meet someone and they say, okay, my name is John Anderson, and then you start talking, and then after a while you think, what was his name again? Something with Anders, and you don't remember it anymore. As this is more difficult, of course, when the name is more complicated or unusual. And but today we're going to talk about research. This is a research video, so I'm going to talk to you about the story behind how they discovered this. And we're starting in 1950. There were some people who had the idea that short-term memory is indeed much shorter than until that time was believed. And one person in particular needs to be mentioned here. That was John Brown, who worked at the University of Cambridge in England. And he did a whole PhD, which he completed in 1955, on this topic, and it was called immediate memory. And one of the things he discovered that indeed, if you give people just 2 letters to remember, within 5 seconds, 25% is the chance left that you still know it. So there's a chance 75% you will forget those 2 letters in 5 seconds. And that was pretty sensational in those days. And he became quite famous by it almost immediately. And he published about that in 1958, and a couple a married couple, in fact, Lloyd and Margaret Peterson in the University of Indiana at Bloomington, they followed up on this research, and they simplified the procedure, and also they extended the number of intervals from 3 to 18 seconds. And so what was the problem that they were trying to solve? How to prove that indeed memory normally would fade. Now, what is normal? So you can also turn the question around and say, okay, why do we not forget everything very quickly? And when you start thinking about that, one of the hypotheses was, okay, you do not forget everything immediately because you keep it in mind constantly. So you do what's called rehearsal. You're not always aware of that, but you keep like playing around with things that are in your mind that you just heard. They sort of bounce back and forth within your mind. Now, if you prevent people from doing that, by basically preventing them from doing that rehearsal, then the memory should fade because you're not actively supporting it anymore. And that's indeed what they tried to do, and also were successful in doing it. And it's very simple to do that. The thing to do is you offer people first, you give them like a simple thing to remember, like 3 letters, HNT. And then you immediately give them a number, say 312. And then your job is to out loud count back in 3s or in 4s or 7s, whatever you want. That goes like this, like 312, subtract 3. So we get down to 309, then we go 306, 303, 300, 297. You know, it gets tricky at points. Sometimes it's easier. And it also you can make it more difficult by having a more difficult number. And in practice, as people do that out loud and try not to make any mistakes, they're encouraged to not do that. They're very busy, occupied with doing that correctly. And as they do that, they don't have time to also at the same time pay attention to that letter combination that they still have to keep active in their mind. And if you do that, then you can very, very easily see that people do in fact forget everything very quickly. And I have here the original data from the article that they did. And as you look at the data, this is in real time. So here you can see for every few seconds, the chances of remembering the 3 letters drop significantly until after about 15, 18 seconds, you hit 5%, 4%, a very low chance of still remembering that. And that's what happens in a conversation with people. You say to them, you know, they introduce themselves, and you introduce yourself, you start talking, and because you're paying attention to what people are saying, at the same time, you're not paying attention anymore to that rehearsal process that you should have going on, and therefore you immediately forget that name within 15 seconds perhaps already, much quicker than you would normally think. So it's not that you are like not smart or anything, that has nothing to do with it. It's just how memory works. You can even do this yourself. So I posted a link below, and if you go there you can see another video where I actually do the experiment with you, and you can experience it for yourself, and then really get to understanding it and experience it from the inside out, so to speak. So I hope you enjoy this. This video is accompanied with more practical videos that explain how you can remedy this problem, how you can actively do something about it in different kinds of situations.